Hello there, and welcome to my ranking of the Duelist heroes in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now keep in mind that this list is only for dueling, and not for how good heroes are in trooper modes like Capital Supremacy. I decided on which heroes are at which rank by looking at first, their abilities, second, their star cards, third, their base stats like health regeneration and stamina, and then I would look at other things like combos, character-specific techniques, or counters, like how well they counter someone else, or how well someone else counters them. Make sure to remember that all heroes are good or even great at dueling. It's just that some heroes are more overpowered than others. Without further ado, after my 700 hours of playing, here is my ranking. Before making this video, I created a poll that asked who you all thought was the worst hero for dueling, and the results were very clear. Rey easily won with a large lead. This of course means that our last place duelist is really gonna surprise you. In 10th place is KYLO Ren. Many people love to play KYLO, and I can see why, but we must admit that he's really a step down from the other heroes. To start, let's look at his abilities. They're all great at face value until you realize that his freeze and pull take a very long time to come back after being used. On top of that, KYLO's Frenzy, when used appropriately, can be very powerful for getting extra damage, but Frenzy is also extremely easy to parry, and more often than not, will lead to you taking more damage than the enemy. KYLO also does not have any notable star cards. They're all fine, but I don't really think I can call a single one of them great. KYLO's base stats are also nothing special. His health regen and regen speed are standard at 250 total health back at 50 HP a second. However, his stamina is pretty decent and is rarely a worry in a fight. KYLO also has no notable combos and doesn't really counter anyone, while at least not really being countered by anyone himself. Up next, in 9th place, is Rey. This one feels strange because her star cards are pretty fantastic. Her damage output can be massive, and her abilities are all seemingly strong. But all of her little flaws really add up. When I play Rey, I can dish out a ton of damage quickly, but I also seem to be taking a ton of damage myself. This can be a good trade-off as long as I'm doing at least 1.5 times the damage as the enemy. But when fighting DOOKU, Grievous, or VADER, this trade-off is simply not worth it due to how well those villains can recover. This basically makes over half of the dark side a strong counter to Rey. Rey also seems to have a hard time recovering health. Her health regen stats are all standard, but because her dash can be easily parried, and her only other attacks are saber swings, Rey ends up taking in a lot of damage over time, which can slowly wither down your health without you realizing it. Furthermore, Rey has absolutely no ranged attacks, thus causing her to have a bit more of a difficult time at keeping up pressure and stopping the enemy from getting back stamina or even jumping. Continuing on, 8th place belongs to ANAKIN. The Chosen One has some really strong strengths, however, he also has some glaring weaknesses. First off, his abilities, and by extension, his combos are excellent. ANAKIN can rip you apart with his basic all-reliable combo, then hit you with a passionate strike through your block for a little extra cherry on top. His damage output is easily top 3 thanks to all of this. To balance this out, ANAKIN has some of the lowest stamina, has only standard health regeneration, and his abilities have a fairly lengthy cooldown, although not as punishing as KYLO's. ANAKIN's stamina problem can be easily fixed with his fantastic Steamroll card. In fact, many of Annie's star cards are incredible, like the one that boosts him up to 900 health. Overall, ANAKIN's a very solid hero. 7th place is going to go to Grandmaster YODA. YODA is a character that takes a lot of skill to play, but once you get the hang of him, he becomes extremely strong. YODA's push is a decent ability and can be very useful when used to deplete your opponent's stamina, thanks to taking away a lot of stamina. YODA's bonus health ability is really great, as it makes him very survivable, and can get you out of a choke or stop your momentum, which can definitely save you, like you can see in this clip. YODA's dash is probably the reason that he's so high on this list. With the right star cards, you will have 3 block breakers ready to go, while the dash also makes you more mobile, which is heavily underrated. YODA's other star cards are all alright, but nothing too special. What really brings YODA down are his low base stats. YODA swings extremely slowly, which makes him very easy to parry. YODA's dashes also leave you very open, making taking damage a possibility. YODA has lower base health as well at 700, although the 50 health difference isn't too bad. These drawbacks do stop YODA at only 7th place, but considering that YODA is the best counter to VADER, that's saying something. At 6th place is my favorite hero, DARTHMAUL. DARTHMAUL is another interesting case, because at face value his abilities are good but not great. His base stats are okay, and his star cards are nothing to write home about. But in the complete opposite way to Rey, when all of Maul's aspects are put together, he becomes a very formidable duelist. Maul's all about speed and aggression, then backing off when necessary. Maul can close distances very quickly as well as get away fast. His combos are numerable and pack a punch. Maul can put pressure on his enemies like no other, which makes him hard to defend against. I would say that there is no counter to Maul, while Maul counters Rey with his range, while also being a good match for Obi-Wan, since he can keep chipping away at the Jedi's health. Maul is an especially entertaining duelist. Starting in the top 5, we have Luke Skywalker. Luke has some very solid star cards as well as abilities. Couple that with his fast swing speed, and you have a damage machine. His unique health regen is a blessing and a curse though. By the time that most heroes start to regenerate their health, Luke will have already healed all of his damage taken. To offset this, his health regen is only 200 health, and trust me when I say that 50 HP is a massive difference. This lets Luke be very aggressive and puts him in danger much less often. But he can also be whittled down without too much trouble. Because of this, Vader and Dooku are major counters to Luke thanks to their immense damage output. Just missing out on the top 3 is Dooku. Spots 2, 3, and 4 were extremely hard for me to decide on, but after rewriting 2 entries, I think I have it right. Dooku is an excellent hero for dueling. First off, his damage output is absolutely insane. Exposed Weakness and Duelist both work extremely well in a duel since they let you do massive damage that'll get all lightsaber heroes, other than Obi-Wan, down below their max health regen after only 2 hits. This damage becomes even more overpowered with Sith Control, since it lets you act much more aggressive and take many more hits before needing to back off. Dooku's cards as a whole make him much better as well, like a handy 35% increase to his stamina. Dooku's lightning is very solid when it hits, as it allows for 2 easy follow-up hits on top of its very respectable 120 base damage. The abilities on Dooku do not offer much range, but much of this is made up for with his built-in third dodge, which grants him much needed maneuverability. I wouldn't say that any hero counters Dooku hard. Obi-Wan is able to absolutely devour some of Dooku's damage as if it were his breakfast. But this is still made up for by Dooku simply being much better than other duelists at getting Obi-Wan past this high health regen pool. Dooku is a disgustingly hard counter to Luke though, since even just one hit can bring Luke down past his maximum health regeneration. Overall, Dooku is a hero of great strengths and very minor weaknesses. Taking the bronze medal is General Grievous. Originally, I had Grievous at 2nd place, then I moved him to 4th, but now I think a respectable 3rd place suits him best. Let's first look at the real reason Grievous is so high. The star cards that Grievous have are absolutely insane. Flesh is Weak and Beating Heart combine together to make Grievous almost unkillable. Having a regen pool of 350 health and damage reduction that can oftentimes get to 45% damage reduced is absolutely bonkers. Grievous's damage is also rather impressive. The Grievous Bunny Hop can let you get in a ton of hits, and it makes parrying you much more challenging. The abilities belonging to Grievous are a mixed bag though. Claw Rush is an amazing ability that allows you to get in some easy damage or make a quick retreat. Claw Rush also comes back rather quickly, which is very, very handy. Thrust Surge is really nice when you can land it, and there are tricks that make it easier to land and harder to block. However, more often than not, I find that Grievous just gets double parried when he uses it. Relentless Advance is legitimately one of, if not the worst abilities in the game for dueling, so just don't use it. Please, I'm begging you. I wouldn't say Grievous has any counters. Luke can sometimes be a bit tricky to pack extra damage into thanks to his fast health regen, and hook swings being dramatically more difficult to perform with Grievous, but the large amount of damage that Grievous can do is able to balance that out a little bit. Grievous does have a very interesting matchup against Rey, since she has no long-range attacks to punish Grievous from recovering his stamina while his block is down. This actually led to a scenario today where Rey and I just stared each other down, waiting for someone to make a move. Ultimately, we must admit that Grievous is hard carried by his cards to make up for the mediocrity for the rest of his traits. In fact, if I ranked all heroes without cards, Grievous would probably be only 10th or 9th. Thankfully for him, that's not this ranking. Our runner-up is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kenobi is, as said before, a damage eater. 400 health regen with his Jedi Resilience card is frankly incredible, and also why it is so hard to kill the Jedi. Safeguard makes stamina basically never ever a worry in a duel. Kenobi's abilities are also really solid. Obi-Wan's push is definitely not as good as some Force abilities, but when timed right, it packs a punch. With any luck, you can get a lunge afterwards, and get follow-up hits as well. Mind Trick is extremely useful for going on the offensive by taking away any abilities, and it renders you completely invulnerable to damage when using Defensive Rush. Defensive Rush is a great way to tack on some cheeky extra damage, especially with the forward card. I really cannot think of any weaknesses that Obi-Wan has. Nobody counters him, while his enormous health regeneration essentially counters the entire dark side. The only thing that holds Kenobi back from being first place is that he lacks the flabbergasting damage that the most powerful duelist has in his suffocating grasp. To nobody's surprise, first place goes to Lord Vader. Where do we begin? Vader has the two best abilities in the game, and his saber throw is still top tier. Furious Rage makes getting permanent damage on Vader extremely difficult. Vader's choke is basically a win button that lets you get around 400 damage with even the simplest of combos, and that's a minimum. Saber throw combos with choke absurdly well, and functions as an easy way to tack on more damage. The star cards on Vader make him even more difficult to put down, and are generally fantastic. Vader's stamina is his only real weakness, but a smart player can play around this issue that, by the way, can be fixed with a star card. The damage that comes off of Vader also hits like a truck. Heck, when people say that there are characters like Obi-Wan and Yoda that are good counters to Vader, that only means that they are kind of close to an even playing field, rather than you having the advantage on Vader, because nobody has the advantage on Vader. Vader is so undoubtedly number one for me, because when I see a Vader on the enemy team with at least skills that are relatively close to mine, if not equal to or greater than, then I just start mentally preparing to accept my defeat. Vader is so OP that he makes 2v1s hardly a challenge. Vader is without a shadow of a doubt the best duelist in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for not just 100 subscribers, but also right now 129 subscribers. I hope you enjoyed this very painful video for me to make, although if it made you happy, then I'd say it was worth it. Like and subscribe or whatever, I don't even care, I just want to go to sleep. Well anyway, may the force be with you. Peace.